You'll never miss an episode of All Ears if you subscribe to the show in the iTunes Store. New episodes are released twice a month. And while you're there, why not give the show a rating and a review? Your feedback really helps All Ears reach more ears. This is All Ears. I'm Everett Hopfner. A big part of being an emerging professional musician is finding the right platform to present your ideas. Breaking into the established institutions can be a real challenge, and so often the solution is a little optimism, creativity, and innovation. Flutist and composer Luke Nickel has embodied these qualities, and he's found a way to support other emerging artists in the process. Together with composer Heidi Willett, Luke has co-founded Cluster New Music and Integrated Arts Festival, an annual highlight of Winnipeg's art and music scene. This year's festival will be Cluster's 5th edition, and it's coming very soon, March 27th to April 3rd. This was a really great opportunity to chat with Luke and find out what Winnipeggers can look forward to in the coming weeks. Here's our conversation. Well, Luke, thank you so much for joining me today. This is really great, and I appreciate you taking the time to talk on the podcast.
No problem. I'm excited to chat and see where it goes.
Yes, we have lots to talk about. We are both Manitoba musicians. I was more on the western rural side, and you were more on the Winnipeg eastern side. Are you born and raised in Winnipeg? Is that your background?
Not quite. So I was born actually in Ontario, and then I grew up in Indiana for about 4 years in my middle childhood, and then I moved to Winnipeg when I was, I think, 7 or 8 or something.
Okay.
So mostly raised in Winnipeg, yeah.
Uh-huh. And was music always kind of a part of your family background or your life, or how did you get into the music world?
Yeah, it was. Well, my parents were both youth leaders at a Mennonite church when I was really young, and my dad was kind of the music guy, and he actually, later I learned, kind of did some composing with like MIDI keyboards and things, but I didn't really know that. But I remember him always kind of like jamming out on the piano, and my mom was definitely a singer and a pianist as well, kind of in the Mennonite way of she did her grade 8 piano and, had sang in choirs and stuff. So there was definitely music around, but nobody in my kind of extended family had ever really kind of pursued music, I guess, as training or anything.
And was it always clear to you that after high school you were going to go straight into music land? Was that always set for you?
Yeah, I think it actually was pretty clear. As soon as, I guess, I started playing flute when I was in grade 5. And then I guess when I started composing in grade 9 or something when I was 13, then I kind of knew that I was going to go and do music after high school.
So you started composing actually quite young.
Yeah, I started, as I say, sort of near the end of grade 9. And I might have actually been doing some before that, but I remember the program that I was using. I think I did a little bit when I was in grade 7 or 8, and then the program that I was using crashed, and I lost all of my stuff. So I think I stopped then, and I didn't even really think of what I was doing in grade 7 or 8 as composing, but I guess it was.
So when you got to the U of M, what were your initial impressions of your community in Winnipeg and the musical surroundings you found yourself in?
When I got to U of M, well, I guess like you, there was plenty of people that I had sort of been seeing around and names that I'd seen around. So there's a lot of people that I knew already. And otherwise, I guess it was pretty much as I expected. Like, when I went into U of M, I had already been hanging around there for a while. So, and it wasn't a sure thing that I was going to go there. I kind of applied around Canada a bit, and I got into U of T and UBC, but I didn't, I just didn't go away because there wasn't really a good enough reason to go away in the end. Mm-hmm. And especially for flute, there wasn't anything kind of around Canada that was any better than I was going to get at U of M, in my opinion anyway. So I kind of, and the composition as well looked fairly good. So in the end, I just decided to stay, and I think that was really the right decision.
I feel like as contemporary musicians, we kind of need a bit of a lead into that area. It's not perhaps the most immediately accessible corner of the music landscape. So I wonder, what were your initial impressions to get you into new music land?
it actually happened when I was in, I guess, grade 9 as well, right before I started composing. My flute teacher kind of gave me my first modern piece to play, which was by Kenneth Nichols, who actually is in Brandon, I think. And I really liked it. So that was the first step, was in flute. I really liked playing it because I guess it presented a different challenge than the other pieces I had been playing in it. And so with flute, then I actually started playing kind of only, well, not only, but I tried to play only new music pieces as much as possible from that point onward, because I just found them much more interesting. And I think it actually made me quite a bit of a better player, because you have to play better to play those pieces,
Sure.
Both in terms of like expression, but also in terms of technique. So, yeah, and then with composing, I started out composing video game music actually in grade 9, and then I guess pretty quickly after, I just I briefly composed something in like sort of Baroque style, and then went straight to atonal stuff.
What was the Winnipeg new music scene like for you in those early years during your undergrad, so 2007, 2008?
Yeah.
Because you ended up building your own kind of cultural institution in Winnipeg, but I'm curious about the initial context that surrounded it.
Yeah, so I guess pretty early, it would have been a bit before that, but I started going to the New Music Festival.
That's the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra New Music Festival?
Yeah. So that would have been, I guess I started going to that probably in like 2002 or 2003 or something. I guess that was sort of my understanding of the new music scene in Winnipeg at least until university. I don't think I started going to like Groundswell concerts until I was in university already.
And Groundswell is a concert series in Winnipeg of contemporary music works.
Yeah, exactly. So Groundswell is kind of tends to do chamber pieces and tends to kind of mix historical avant-garde with current contemporary stuff. And that's actually a pretty good description of the Winnipeg Music Festival as well. Like it wasn't always new music. It was kind of a range of music,
right.
From the last 40 years or so. But I guess aside from those two kind of pockets of stuff, there wasn't really that much around the year. And at U of M anyway, in my first few years, like, you know, there was only a few of us who were composers, and performers weren't exactly lining up to play new music. I would say that aside from like pockets, there wasn't that much new music, and so I think that's part of what contributed to wanting to start something, is that like it just seemed ridiculous that there was only kind of a little bit. So I guess starting Cluster was more of just realizing that there was room for other stuff, and also kind of realizing that there was room for an organization and a festival that really linked different art forms together, because we sort of thought right away, like, you know, even though there's room for more new music, like there isn't actually really that many people in Winnipeg who are into it in the same way that we were, and we kind of looked around and saw other arts communities who seemed more vibrant and seemed like, you know, people in fine arts tend to actually go to openings and stuff, whereas musicians, like, it was impossible to get our own friends to come to stuff a lot of the time. So we sort of started thinking about ways of integrating other communities so that we could take a kind of strength in numbers approach and hopefully actually reinvigorate the kind of people who did like music and new music as well.
We should just mention that when you say we all the time, this is your initial collaboration between yourself and Heidi Willett, who became the co-founder and co-director of the festival. Is that right?
Yeah, yes.
Right. So, yeah, your festival is called the Cluster New Music and Integrated Arts Festival. So that automatically implies some sort of boundary stretching and interactions outside of the normal music communities, as you've said. Mm-hmm. What were some of the challenges or surprises that came together in putting together our first edition of a brand new festival?
In our first year, we were really sort of blindly and optimistically pushing forwards. And that was like that was a conscious decision before we started it, was that it seemed like so many people in the music community were kind of mired by negativity, and also mired by just, you know, oh, we can't do this because we don't have the money, we can't do this because blah, blah, blah. And we just sort of decided like that was not going to be a part of our rhetoric behind creating the festival. So for the first few years especially, like we just never really thought about that stuff. So the challenges, I mean, were just logistical, like learning how to budget, learning how to produce things. But even that, both of us were fairly well positioned to do it. By the time we got to that point, Heidi had put on 2 grad recitals that were monstrous, that involved like 1 million performers and all kinds of media. And anyway, she had really kind of done some concert production already.
Great.
And I was quick to learn as well. And I mean, it also wasn't really a quick start. Like, we sort of started talking about it in 2008, I think, in January 2008, I think. And then, we really we thought we were going to do it, I think, November of 2008, and then quickly realized that wasn't going to happen.
Right.
Because we needed to spend a lot of time, thinking about, what the festival was going to be. So we did a lot of kind of branding as it is now. Like, we wrote pretty much all of the media on our website was written before the festival started. And we've stuck with it since then. It was really, it was very careful and considered. And also we did a lot of research in the community. So we met with all kinds of people. So we met with, definitely with Groundswell. We met with a few, with Gordon and with, Gordon Fitzell and Michael Matthews. We kind of got them to send us budgets and got them to send us, production sheets, and asked them a lot about what they thought the community was like and what there was room for. And then we also met with a lot of arts organizations around as well, especially small ones around Winnipeg. So we really tried to suss out kind of what needs were in the community and what people thought of music events, and just really tried to I guess research and build something properly. So I guess in terms of challenges, it was just the regular stuff, I guess, starting up. There was nothing. I mean, there's been all every year there's new challenges for sure. I think there's been, at least one major thing every year, but nothing too major, I guess.
No, it's funny talking about challenges because clearly you guys have not ever been content to just stay where you are and be content with what you have. The festival has grown so much from 2010 to where it is today. You have more and more concerts being added every year. You're expanding beyond Winnipeg, beyond Manitoba. Even you have a general call for submissions, and you're taking international performers as well. It's been great to see the growth of this festival in such a short time.
Oh, thank you.
What are some of the partnerships in the community that you've been able to find? Do you have a set venue that you go to, or do you have other arts organizations partnering with you in these ventures?
Actually, and this is a good year to talk about that. So we don't have a set venue, though we've sort of settled into a building which is 290 McDermott, which is kind of in Winnipeg's historic exchange district, and I think it has 4 art galleries in the building, and we've used all of them. And now this year we're going to be in Ace Art Gallery, which is really exciting because Ace is, I think Ace is kind of the most in line with our artistic direction. So it's really exciting to be kind of in a gallery that matches the festival. So I guess we're partnering with Ace certainly, but this year we are partnering with Groundswell to present one concert, which is a nice relationship that we're able to have, probably partially because Heidi is the executive director of Groundswell, but also because there's every reason to partner with them, especially because they kind of present music that we can't, and we present music that they can't, I would say. So what's great is when we can find artists or causes to overlap on, which in our case has been that they run a composition competition, which very, very much fits their goals as an organization, which is to kind of specifically foster, composition of kind of chamber music. And so they run this composition competition, but then we're actually able to present the winner at our festival, which is a great opportunity for us. And so we've partnered with Groundswell. This year we're actually partnering with Nuna as well, which is the Icelandic festival in Winnipeg. So we're partnering with them on our opening night of the festival to present Fiola Evans, who's a cellist and composer who's Canadian Icelandic, and so we get to partner with them, which is also great. This year, we're also partnering with Vector Festival, which is in Toronto. And Vector was started by Scott Deeming, who used to be in Winnipeg as Mr. Ghosty. And he started Vector Festival, which is a video game arts festival, which has been hugely successful in Toronto. They're putting on a huge exhibition of video game art, which will run concurrently to our festival. So that's and they're also kind of co-presenting one or two of the artists in the festival as well. So we've got a few partnerships this year that are working out really nicely.
That's really great, and that's kind of a new development for you as well, right? I mean, it takes a while to get established, but as you start to find your place in the community, you find the right partnerships for yourself to build with. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Luke, Cluster this year is going to run from March 27th until April 3rd.
Yep.
You've got concerts, you've got free events, and you have exhibits going on in different venues around the city of Winnipeg.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll certainly direct the listeners towards your website to see the full program.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering if you want to maybe point out a few of the highlights that you're really looking forward to this year.
Sure. That immensely difficult. I'm looking forward to all of it. I think the artist that I might be most excited about is Folky Loki from New York. So they're actually two artists, and they're a duo, which is Tamara Yadeo and Chris Burke. And they are a duo that do live performances using video games to create sound. So they kind of use existing video games that have map and level editors in them. They build these levels that have a lot of sonic things inside of them, and they kind of play the level, making all the sound. And so they make these soundscapes on stage playing video games.
Cool.
And we're just really excited about them. They've been wonderful to work with already in advance, and it's actually kind of spawned into another collaboration, which is really exciting in that they are going to they're going to digitize a singer that we have singing. So Sarah Kirsch, who we've had before, she's a Winnipeg favorite, I guess, at this point.
For sure.
And they're going to kind of digitize her into an avatar, and then they're going to lead an improvisation with her, as well as the Experimental Improv Ensemble from the University of Manitoba. And they're going to improvise sort of using her avatar and her live and the ensemble, and there's going to be lots of video games on stage. And that's been a really exciting project to set up. We're also really excited to have, a big change for this year anyway is that we're adding Elliot Britton to become a co-director of the festival. So we have three of us now as co-directors. And Elliot got a huge piece for percussion quartet and electronics that we're presenting, which is his doctorate thesis dissertation piece. And it's called Metatron, and it's a piece that it basically goes through all the historical eras of the recording industry and uses equipment and styles and material from all of those eras, I guess, in one gigantic piece for percussion quartet and electronics. So, yeah, really excited about that as well.
So, Luke, if people want to get involved in Cluster, whether as an audience member or in the future participation, where can they go and find out information?
Sure. Yeah, I would say there's three ways to get involved, or actually four ways. So the first way would be as an audience member. So heading to the website is a really good way to do that. We do have actually some early bird tickets this year. So there's some cheaper tickets that are available for those who buy in advance. So that's a good way to get involved in the festival. And of course, our programming is all online and available.
What is the website, Luke?
That's www.clusterfestival.com. The second way to get involved is as an artist, obviously. So if people are interested in becoming artists of the Cluster Festival, we have an open call that goes out probably in late April. And if you go to our website and then go to the call for submissions, you can find out more details on that. The third way of getting involved would be as a volunteer. We're really happy to have people volunteer. We generally put a call out for volunteers on our Facebook page, closer to the festival, but people can definitely email us also at info@clusterfestival.com to volunteer. The Cluster community is always amazing to be involved in. Everybody is really friendly, and there's artists all around all the time, so it's a really exciting place to be involved in. And the final way of getting involved would be as a funder, which of course we love funders. So again, same sort of situation. Just email us at info@clusterfestival.com. Also, we've added an option now on our Eventbrite ticket page where you can donate with buying tickets. So if you want to kind of support the festival in a small way as well as buy tickets, there's that option as well.
I think that's a pretty good coverage of the cluster coming up. So let's talk a little bit more about you. Luke, you are not in Manitoba anymore.
No.
Where are you?
I'm living in Bristol in the United Kingdom right now.
When did you move?
I moved in October of 2013.
Okay, so it's been almost a year and a half or so now.
Yeah, it's been
almost
a year and a half.
2 years.
Yep.
How's it been? What are you working on?
Well, I'm doing a PhD at Bath Spa University. So it's a very tiny arts university just outside of Bristol and outside of Bath, actually. And so, yeah, I'm working on a 3-year PhD, so I'm just about halfway through right now.
Great.
In composition, yeah.
How's it been to kind of uproot yourself and try to fit in a new community and make something happen over there? How's it been?
It's been really good, actually. This is my second uprooting, because I lived in Montreal as well before this for a few years.
Uh-huh.
And to be honest, like, Montreal was a different country as well. Like,
for sure.
Quebec is really a different place. So that was kind of the first step in uprooting. This one has definitely been more of a change in that I had some friends in Montreal before I moved there, and I knew absolutely nobody when I moved here. So it's been a really good exercise in exploring a new community and also just realizing that I think most places in the world are most cities anywhere are kind of incredible, and if you take the time, you can really learn to love anywhere. And I really didn't know anything about Bristol before I moved here. And I think I purposefully didn't look at any pictures and didn't look at anything because I just wanted to be surprised. And I really lucked out. I mean, outside of London, Bristol is really a hub of culture in the UK, and it's kind of got this outsider status that it's had for a long time, which, certainly helped breed artists like Portishead and Massive Attack and things. And it's got a really great sense of itself as a city and a really great culture around art and music. So I've gotten quite lucky. It's been interesting because there's not really a new music scene in Bristol as I was familiar with in other cities. But there's a really strong kind of improv scene, improv music, and there's a lot of kind of more underground stuff happening. So that's exciting.
And what are some of the projects you're working on now?
I'm kind of between things, so I've wrapped up a bunch of stuff. I wrote a big piece for the Bozzini Quartet last year, so a string quartet from Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
And that was presented just in November at the Huddersfield Contemporary Music Festival, which is kind of an institution here in the UK.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
And that was really exciting to work with them and write that piece. And right now I'm in a year-long project where I'm writing a piece for Exaudi, which is a choir in London. So that's a part of the Sound and Music portfolio scheme. So in the UK, they have this great organization, Sound and Music, that's kind of like an arts council, but also a development agency. And anyway, I applied and got into this year-long scheme where I'm writing for Exaudi, which is excellent. And otherwise, I guess just working on my dissertation, really, and figuring out how to live in a different country still.
that I don't think that ever stops.
No. Yeah, exactly.
We do a recurring segment on this podcast, which has a new name every week, and we'll call it the Mr. Rogers Memorial Fantastic Person of the Week Club. Mm-hmm. As musicians, of course, we depend so much on a vast network of supporters and people and teachers who have helped us get where we are today. So I wonder if you'd like to just maybe share a story or mention somebody who's helped you along your journey.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just, I would just say, yeah, there's been so many people. Like, I guess a good one to mention this week, just for this week, would be actually Heidi, because she's just had a baby, named Henry, who's lovely, and she's been obviously extremely supportive, as a co-director since year one, and before that, actually, even that, because we've been friends, for a long time before that, and, yeah, she's really kind of the perfect foil to my personality, and both as a person and as a co-director, so she's been there to pick up the pieces and organize festival stuff, every year and be there for me as a friend as well. And now she's a mom, so
that is just great.
Yeah.
Luke, how can people keep up with you and with the festival on social media?
People can visit our Facebook page. They can look for us on Twitter, which will also be at Cluster Festival. They can find us on Instagram, which is Cluster Festival. And in terms of myself, I'm also on Facebook, Twitter, probably more appropriate to add me randomly. So that's Luke J. Nickel, I think. And I have a SoundCloud. So actually, that's the best way if you want to check out my stuff, which is soundcloud.com/Luke J. Nickel, I think. And yeah, that's sort of it.
And I'll make sure there's links to all of those resources on the show notes of this episode.
Great.
Well, Luke, this has been such a treat. Thank you so much for talking. Good luck with the festival coming up this year. I'm so excited to see this thriving new institution in Manitoba and just how much success you've had with it. Keep it going. Have a great festival, and I'm sure we'll talk again soon. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You have been listening to All Ears with Everett Hopfner. This week's guest was Luke Nickel. Behind me, you can hear violinist Mira Benjamin and percussionist Isaiah Ceccarelli performing Luke's piece, Factory. You can find links to Luke and the Cluster Festival at my website, everetthopfner.com. Dear Manitobans, this is a great chance to support exciting young artists and experience some really unique artworks in your community. Please support these guys. You can follow me on Twitter at evhopf. You can follow the show at This Is All Ears. Every time you like, tweet, share, or comment on All Ears, you help emerging artists reach a wider audience. Thank you to Isabel Kolimnik for the beautiful new All Ears logo. The next episode will drop on April 1st, and I promise you will not want to miss it. We'll talk to you then.